Hi everybody and welcome to Heel Heat. My name is George Coles, and on this episode we're reviewing AEW Collision, the very first episode. If you're watching this far into the future, it's from June 17th, 2023. We rate everything here on a 1 to 5 scale, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. With that being said, let's jump right in. We start the show off with the person everybody wants to see. We get CM Punk coming to the ring cutting a promo. Seems to have a little bit of heel connotations here. He has a bag with him that obviously he's kind of dancing around saying the championship is in, that he never lost. He has wrestling boots around his neck that he says if someone could fill these, that's when he'll give it up. There were a few quote-unquote shots or references to what everybody wanted to see him reference, the brawl-out situation with the Elite. He mentioned that he's Dollar Bill Phil and other people are counterfeit bucks, which obviously is an easy reference to the Young Bucks. He also mentions that if you're against him as a fan, then you're softer than the wrestlers that you like, which again is obviously another shot at the Elite. Really kind of classic CM Punk promo, kind of straddling the line between reality and kayfabe, straddling the line between heel and face. I felt he leaned a little bit more towards the heel side, even though he was in Chicago here. They still loved it. I loved it. I thought it was great. Fantastic way to start off the show, and obviously being in Chicago, much like when he debuted in AEW, they knew to put him up front or the crowd would have hijacked the show and just screamed CM Punk the whole way. Pretty good opener. That leads us right into our first match of the show and our first match of Collision. We get Luchasaurus going up against Wardlow for the TNT Championship. The idea of starting the show off like this is a great idea and concept. I think the match itself was a little bit lackluster in my opinion. The end sequence when we see Christian basically keeps trying to get involved and then eventually does, it felt a little bit too forced and a little bit too much on the gimmicky side. I do like the idea of a title change, although I don't feel that Wardlow has ever really built himself to be someone credible. Now that he's lost his belt a few different times rather quickly, it kind of devalues him in my opinion. Even though he got screwed for it, Luchasaurus did pick up the win here. I thought this was a good match, nothing great. I'm giving it a 3. After that, we get a backstage interview with Powerhouse Hobbs and QT Marshall. Basically, they announce that Hobbs is going to be in the Owen Hart tournament, which is going to be great. I'd love to see him go far and even potentially win it. I think Hobbs is very underrated, and it kind of feels like they're putting a lot of those guys on the show, a lot of the people that have been kind of afterthoughts on Dynamite. At least for this first show, it seems like they are prominent. That's followed by our next match of the show, Buddy Matthews versus Andrade El Idolo. This is Andrade's first match in about a year or so, and I really enjoyed this. I thought this was the best match on the card. Going into it, you kind of knew it would be. The psychology that they had, both of them somewhat injuring themselves, Buddy injuring his knee, Andrade injuring his shoulder during the match. The call-outs with both of them, Buddy Matthews doing Rhea Ripley's finisher, and then Andrade turning around and doing the figure 8, Charlotte Flair's finisher. Kind of a nice touch here. Ultimately, Andrade picks up the win here. Fantastic match. Afterwards, we see him go to shake Buddy's hand as a show of respect. Buddy looks at him, the lights go out. They come back on. The rest of the House of Black is in the ring. They lay out Andrade. Like I said, this was my favorite match of the show. I'm giving this a 5. The only thing I'd say is there maybe should have been backup for Andrade coming out. Ruth, Dralistico, Preston Vance even. It's possible they're going a face route with Andrade here, so maybe he's not going to go back to La Facción and go Grenobles, even though he started it. But it would have been cool to see them come out. Again, I thought the match was the best on the card. I'm giving it a 5. Next up, we get a vignette for Scorpio Sky, who says he's waited long and he's about to return. Be awesome to see Scorpio Sky back. I think he's a really great talent. I think it'll be fun to see him back on the show again, because he has great matches basically anytime he steps in between the ropes. After that, we come back from commercial. We have Tony Nese and Smart Mark Sterling in the ring. Nese starts running down the crowd. Then all of a sudden we hear the familiar theme song, and it's Miro Day. Miro comes out, and this was awesome. I'm not going to pretend like this wasn't a glorified squash match, that Nese wasn't the sacrificial lamb here, because he absolutely was. But Miro came out, demolished, ran through Tony Nese. Nese had some offense here. It wasn't totally one-sided. I don't think the outcome was ever in doubt, though. Miro runs through, picks up the win with the camel clutch. I thought this was really fun. Really great seeing Miro back on our TV again. I'm giving this one a 4. After that, that's followed up by our women's tag team match. We get representing the Outcasts, Ruby Soho and Toni Storm, going up against Willow Nightingale and Sky Blue. I really feel like they're starting to build Sky Blue up to be a future world champion. I mean, with her youth and the talent she has already, she's eventually going to get there. I feel like we're going to get it sooner rather than later. I'd hate for her to take it from Toni Storm so quickly, but I'd also like to see her get a shot at it, because I do like Sky Blue. I think she is a great talent. I almost wish there was a secondary title, and I know they have the TBS title, but I feel like the TBS title and the women's title is kind of like the equivalent of WWE having the World Championship and the Universal Championship. Both are kind of on the same par, in my opinion. This is a really fun match. We see the end come where Toni Storm is trying to spray paint Sky Blue, but Willow gets her hand, spray paints Ruby Soho in the face, throws this can of spray paint into the crowd. Willow hits a Death Valley driver. Sky Blue hits the Sky Blue. Or Code Blue, I'm sorry, gets a pin here. Awesome win, awesome hometown win for Sky Blue. I thought this was a fun match. I really enjoyed it. Like I said, I feel like they're really building something here with Sky Blue. I'm giving this one a 4. That's followed up with a vignette for Ricky Stark. Ricky Stark announces he's also going to be in the Owen Hart tournament, so that's going to be great too. I love to see him go far in that, especially with all the losses he's been eating lately. It would be great to have them get him back on track as well. After that, we get an in-ring interview with the Acclaimed and Billy Gunn, aka Daddy Ass, with Tony Schiavone out there. Daddy Ass has a new outfit on, which looked amazing on the show. They basically say that they're not done with going for the trios title. I kind of expected maybe House of Black to come back out here again. They didn't. We got the feel-good moment when the Acclaimed, Daddy Ass, and Tony Schiavone all scissor each other. And for YouTube purposes, scissoring is when they go like this. It's not anything quote-unquote sexual. It's just this, guys. So if you're trying to demonetize, it's a hand gesture. That's followed up with our main event of the show, Dax Harwood, Cash Wheeler, and CM Punk going up against Samoa Joe, Juice Robinson, and Jay White. CMFTR versus Bullet Club Gold with Samoa Joe, which is Joe going to join the Bullet Club Gold? They don't really pay that off here. Was he just a one-night associate? Who knows? This is a really fun match. I thought it also was a good way to give the fans a payoff of seeing CM Punk without giving too much CM Punk right away. A CM Punk versus Samoa Joe solo match would have burned off one of their big matches that they could have either at one of their upcoming pay-per-views. I mean, we have 3 coming up in the next month and a half, 2 months. We have All In, All Out, and Forbidden Door. So I'm glad they didn't burn through that solo match. I would like to see more of Bullet Club Gold, Juice Robinson and Jay White, and FTR maybe feuding. Bullet Club Gold go for the Tag Team Championship, because I think it'll be great matches either way. This is a really fun main event. The chemistry between FTR and CM Punk is undeniable. The other 3 guys on the other side of the ring, great wrestlers as well. This was fun. It was a great trios match. In a company that's filled with a lot of great trios, the Elite, the House of Black, Daddy Ass, and the Acclaimed, having this out here showing 2 other trios that could maybe get into that mix for the Trios Championship was really awesome. Ultimately, FTR and CM Punk pick up the win. I'm giving this match a 4. I thought it was really good. Overall, I thought it was a good card from the beginning to the end. Wardlow and Luchasaurus was the only one that slightly disappointed. But even with that, I thought it was still a good match. We had a title change. We had a CM Punk promo, which is always great. We had returns of CM Punk, return of Andrade, return of Miro, the announced return of Scorpio Sky, a promo with the Acclaimed, which are always awesome again. Tons of great stuff on here. I'm going to give this a 4 overall. I thought it was highly enjoyable, and I really think that this is going to be a great show going forward if they could keep this. The announce team, I didn't even mention that. The announce team already is one of my favorite announce teams in wrestling. We got Kevin Kelly and Nigel McGuinness. and then they're joined for the main event by Jim Ross, which I think is a perfect use of Jim Ross, because it's very obvious if you listen to Jim Ross on the longer shows, he gets a little bit burnt out by the end. Having Kevin Kelly and Nigel here I think is great. The one thing I will question is Kevin Kelly's primary contract going to be with AEW or New Japan. I know he's going to probably work both. Which is going to take priority? If he has to go do some New Japan commentary, is someone going to take over for him? Which will be okay. I'm alright with that. You know, have Jim Ross call it those weeks, or even maybe have the Big Show sub in, because the Big Show's been great on Dark and Elevation, whichever of those two. I get them confused, so for just the name I get confused. I know who the Big Show is, or Paul White as he's called here, so maybe he could sub in those instances. But they're a great announce team already. I thought this was fantastic. The presentation felt good. It felt like a wrestling show. I thoroughly enjoyed this. I may continue to review these. I definitely wanted to review the first one. If the next one has the same quality as this, I'll probably review these every week. Let me know what you think. Would you like to see me continue to review Collision every week as long as it keeps up the quality? If it goes down and loses quality and becomes obviously a B or C show, then I'm not going to bother it. But let me know what you think. Hit me up down here in the comments. And if you made it to the end, let me know if you're excited to see CM Punk back or you never wanted to see him again. Let me know down here. Hit me in the comments. While you're there, smash that like button, share the video, subscribe if you haven't. If you see where it says join, that's how you become a channel member. That definitely helps out. With all that being said, my name is George Coles, and this has been my review of the first AEW Collision.